English stories help us learn, dream, and grow. Stories make English easy to enjoy, understand, and practice. Listening to stories improves speaking, writing, and imagination. They teach us about life, inspire our hearts, and show us new ways to think. Today's story is magical, filled with wonder and hope. It reminds us that dreams can shape reality and change lives. Let's dive into a tale you'll never forget. It was a cold, quiet night in Boston. Michael, a young man with messy brown hair and tired eyes, walked alone on the empty streets. He had lost his job last week, and his bills were piling up. Every step felt heavy, and his mind was full of worry. Suddenly, he noticed a tiny glowing sign at the corner of an alley. "Dreams for sale," the sign read. Michael's heart skipped a beat. What kind of shop sells dreams? He hesitated but felt a strange pull. The glow of the shop's light was warm, almost magical. He stepped closer, curiosity growing stronger. Inside, the shop was filled with tiny glass jars, each glowing softly. An old man with a kind smile stood behind the counter. His name tag read Mr. Thomas. "Welcome, Michael," Mr. Thomas said, even though Michael hadn't introduced himself. Michael froze. "How do you know my name?" Mr. Thomas chuckled softly. "This is a place where dreams come true. I know what you need." Michael's breath quickened. He wanted to leave but couldn't. There was something soothing about Mr. Thomas's voice, something reassuring. Michael's life was falling apart, but this shop, this moment, felt like a tiny spark of hope. "What kind of dreams do you sell?" Michael asked, his voice trembling. Mr. Thomas gestured to the glowing jars. "These are not just dreams for sleep. They can change your reality. Some bring success, others bring love, confidence, or happiness. Choose wisely, for the dream you pick will shape your life." Michael stared at the jars. One glowed golden, labeled confidence, another shimmered silver. Named New Beginnings, a deep blue jar caught his eye. It was called Courage. Michael reached for the blue jar. "How does it work?" he asked. Mr. Thomas smiled. "Drink it before bed. As you sleep, the dream will guide you. When you wake, your life will begin to change." "What's the price?" Michael asked, fearing it might be too expensive. "The price is trust," Mr. Thomas replied. "You must believe in the dream. Without belief, it will not work." Michael hesitated. Could this really help him? He was desperate, and desperation often leads to risks. He finally nodded and took the jar. That night, Michael sat on his bed, staring at the blue jar. He thought about his failures, his fears, and the emptiness inside him. Then, with a deep breath, he opened the jar and drank its contents. The liquid was warm, like a hug. Soon Michael fell asleep, and a vivid dream began. In the dream, he was standing on a tall mountain, facing a fierce storm. A voice whispered, "Take a step forward. Trust yourself." Michael's heart pounded, but he stepped into the storm. As he walked, the wind calmed, and the sun broke through the clouds. When Michael woke up, he felt different. The heaviness in his chest was gone. For the first time in months, he felt strong. He spent the day applying for jobs, walking into offices with a confidence he never had before. By evening, he had 2 interviews lined up. Days turned into weeks, and Michael's life began to transform. He got a new job, started smiling more, and even helped a neighbor who was struggling. One night, he returned to the dream shop to thank Mr. Thomas, but the shop was gone. The alley was empty, as if it had never existed. Michael realized the dream shop wasn't just about magic. It was about believing in the power of change. The dreams were tools, but the real work came from within. This story reminds us that we all have the power to dream and change. Dreams inspire action, and action shapes reality. If you want to improve your life, start by believing in yourself. Take small steps, trust your journey, and never give up. As Michael stood there in the empty alley, the realization slowly sank in. He had found something far more important than just a magical shop. He had discovered a new belief in himself. It wasn't the shop that changed his life, it was the courage to take action, to believe that change was possible, no matter how impossible it seemed at first. Every dream Michael had from that day on was rooted in that same belief. Dreams weren't just about wishing for something to happen, they were about finding the strength inside to make it happen. The shop had given him the spark, but his journey was his own. Days turned into months, and Michael's life became a reflection of his newfound confidence. He worked hard at his new job, but he didn't stop there. He began helping others who had lost their way, just like he had. He mentored young people who were struggling with their own challenges and shared his story. One evening, while sitting in a cafe, Michael overheard a conversation between 2 friends. One was talking about how he felt stuck in life, unsure of his future, and the other friend was offering advice. Michael listened closely and realized that the advice was the same kind of advice he had once needed. He couldn't help himself. He joined the conversation. "You know," Michael said gently, Sometimes the most important step you can take is the one that scares you the most. It's all about believing that things can change and having the courage to take that first step. The two friends looked at him, curious. "What do you mean?" one asked. Michael smiled, remembering the journey he had taken. "I mean that sometimes we need to dream big, but the real magic comes when you start working toward those dreams, even when it feels like nothing is changing." His words resonated with them, and soon they too started taking steps toward their own goals. It became a ripple effect, one person sharing a spark of hope, which inspired others to take action. Michael had found a new purpose to help people see that their dreams were not as far away as they thought. He started hosting workshops, helping people work through their fears and build the confidence they needed to make their dreams come true. He shared his story of how he had walked into a magical shop, but also made sure they understood that the magic wasn't in the shop, it was in the belief they had in themselves. Through these workshops, Michael met people from all walks of life, young, old, rich, poor. It didn't matter what their background was, they all shared one thing: a desire for change. They wanted to live their lives to the fullest, but they were too afraid to take the first step. Michael shared his experience with them, letting them know that fear was natural, but courage was what turned dreams into reality. One young woman, Sarah, came to him after one of his workshops. She was shy, unsure of herself, and afraid of failure. "I want to start a business," she told Michael, "but I don't know where to begin." Michael smiled. The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the most important one. Take that step no matter how small. And remember, every failure is just a lesson that brings you closer to success. Sarah took his advice to heart. She started her business with the little she had, and slowly it began to grow. Years later, she returned to one of Michael's workshops, but this time she wasn't just a participant, she was a speaker, sharing her own story of how belief and action had changed her life. Michael's journey had come full circle. What started with a single step into a magical dream shop had turned into a movement of people who were ready to believe in themselves and change their lives. The lessons he learned were simple, yet profound. Believe in yourself. Without belief, dreams remain just dreams. When you believe in your potential, you open the door to endless possibilities. Take action. Dreams are not fulfilled by wishing, they are fulfilled by doing. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. Embrace failure. Failure is not the end, it's a part of the journey. Each failure teaches you something valuable and brings you one step closer to success. Inspire others. The greatest joy in achieving your dreams comes from helping others achieve theirs. share your story, offer support, and watch as the ripple effect of kindness and inspiration spreads. As Michael's story continued to inspire others, he realized that the dream shop had given him more than just confidence, it had given him purpose. The world was full of people who needed to believe in themselves, and Michael was ready to be their guide. He often thought back to that night when he had first entered the shop. If someone had told him then that he would one day help others change their lives, he wouldn't have believed it. But that's the beauty of life sometimes. It's not about how big the dream is, it's about how willing you are to take that first step. In the end, Michael didn't need a magical shop to change his life. What he needed was the courage to dream, the belief that those dreams could become reality, and the determination to take the first step. The rest followed naturally. Dreams are the stars we reach for, he would say, but the path to them is built one step at a time. This is the power of dreams, they show us the way, but it's our courage that makes them real. And so, dear listener, let me ask you, what dream are you holding on to? What first step have you been afraid to take? The journey to your dreams begins with belief, with courage, and with action. Don't wait for magic to happen, create it yourself. The magic is not in the dream itself, but in the courage to make it come true. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that inspire you to dream bigger, work harder, and believe in yourself. You are capable of achieving incredible things, and your dreams are just waiting to become your reality. Keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep stepping forward. The world is